It's to borrow London. That was brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, it's literally one of my favorite cities. In fact, I was with some friends recently, and they said, if you had all the money in the world, where would you have your, like, 3 houses, where would it be? And the first one was, mine would be, like, London. I'm not sure where. I'd have to look around at some neighborhoods. But, no, it's literally one of my favorite cities. As some of you probably know, I'm a massive Premier League fan. No one team do I follow, because I'm not from here, so don't get into that. But, yeah, it feels great. It's kindest, best fans are just... No, just hopefully they'll invite me back again next year.
For me, it's been 8 years since the first time I was here, and I remember before when you had to take the DLR from Tower Gateway, and this was in the middle of nowhere. There was nowhere, nothing to do. And we once missed the last train. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and we couldn't get back into town. And we ended up taking a bus as far east as we could go, and it put us in the dodgiest part of London ever. And even a cabbie popped by, and he was like, "Get in the cab!" And like 3 white people walking around this dodgy part of town. I was like, "Don't ever come back here again."
He was a West Ham fan. That's our most cabbies.
It was a great time to be here, and Brian Cooney puts on a great show, and the fact that he brought us back. Roger Craig Smith and I came back in 2013, I think it was, when we were doing Arkham Origins, but we were only here for like maybe an hour and we were gone. So to be able to spend some more time here has been great, and the fans have been awesome. It's been really cool to be able to sit, and yesterday was mad. Just there was a great queue of people, and it's always just kind of reassuring and affirming when you realize that the things that you've been a part of that you think are just sometimes just a job, even though you care about it, you don't realize how much impact you've had. So to be able to see that firsthand is kind of the best perk of the job, is just for someone to go, this really meant something to me. And
Especially in other continents.
Yeah.
And I think we have we're very lucky because a couple of our bigger titles have been PlayStation exclusives, and PlayStation's gotten such a great foothold in
the
UK.
rest of the world.
The rest of the world, and the U.S.
Sure.
Now, but I mean, it's been special. And again, we were talking about this last night at dinner. Like Brian Cooney and his team are. Man, this place is just efficient.
Yeah.
You are brought in on time. Everybody, you just know where you're. And for something this large, that's pretty spectacular. And he's out there in the front line, just walking around making.
He jumped behind the camera for a little while. We were doing photo ops and stuff. I was like, I can do everything.
He was taking the pictures. It was amazing.
Who else?
You've done a lot of Marvel and DC.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any one that you'd like to voice that you haven't yet, and why?
Catwoman. I think I could give it a go. Yeah. I don't know. We've been pretty lucky. Like the fact that you got Deadpool is I don't think there's ever been someone more perfectly cast. And I even think that what Ryan Reynolds did was kind of loosely based on Nolan North.
He said it, not me.
Ryan Reynolds actually said it. No, I don't know. I think there's. I've been surprised at the fact that there was no bigger surprise that I was able to do the Joker. So I don't know where you go from there, because that's pretty much. Oh,
I haven't done the Joker.
You haven't done the.
Oh, I did. I did Atomic Joker.
Did you?
Yeah.
A Tomahawk Joker?
Atomic Joker in.
Injustice? What was it?
Oh God, no, I can't remember. And you're taping it.
I think it's like a Batman.
No, it was another one. It was like it might have been an Infinite Crisis, one of those.
That's what it was.
And it was just, so I got to have that little bit, but I mean, it was just his head carried in a jar, and I actually took a jar, did the Tattershore trick, and I put the jar into it. I was talking into it. Come on now, and it was kind of like a.
It's not bad.
I don't know, but it was better.
That's okay.
Okay.
At what point on working on Uncharted 4 did you both realise that you would be playing against each other and that you were both working on the same project in sort of major roles?
Did you find out first, or did I find out first?
I don't know. We worked together.
I think I found out first.
I mean, there was a shuffle in the management at the time, and it was just, then they said, this was, and when Neil Druckmann came to me and he said, this is the plan, it was a difficult time right there. It's a little bit, and then when I found out he would be there, it was like, okay, well, there's somebody I know. Yeah, no, but there's somebody I had familiarity with, somebody who I'm friends with, and it was like we could, I knew that we could, move on and do something. And people were like, oh, you're finally in a game together, and we had done a few of them.
Tons.
So we had a good rapport. So it was going to be, we knew that. You probably found out first, I'm guessing, and then
I remember.
But it was right. I probably found out the next day.
I was at a friend of mine's like album release party at the Grove in Los Angeles, and Neil Druckmann calls me and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna bring you in." I was like, "Okay." He goes, I want you to be in Uncharted 4. I was like, yes, I get to be a red shirt that Nate Drake kills. And he goes,
we could only hope.
I know. Dare to dream. And he was like, I want you to play his brother. And I went, don't tease, dude. If this is you just pulling a fast one on me, if you're joking, it's like, that's cruel. That's just really, really cruel, because he knew what a big fan of the franchise I was. And he did. And it was really cool because as an actor, every role has a challenge. And for this, it was like, okay, he's a few years older than me. How do I play his older brother? So as an actor, you got to kind of like go, okay.
And I look so much younger.
Way younger. But to be able to find, the way to map that and make it grounded and feel real was cool. And it's something that Nolan and I and Neil and I kind of worked out together. And I think it worked really, really well. And honestly, what you see from Nate and Sam is really just Nolan and Troy. Like, that's the stuff that we do in between takes. We're just giving each other grief.
Would you really take a bullet for me?
Well, no, that's the acting.
That's the acting side.
I actually didn't do that. Just kind of went, and fell.
Push me
back to that
cliff.
part of London.
Push me.
Hey?
Go back to that part of London and try it.
Exactly. Hey, I know where. If I want to get shot, I know exactly where to go. I can show you the corner. But no, those are like dream come trues. Like the best part of the job is being a part of something that you're going to geek out over later. And when you move from a fan into a part of making it, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, he had a built-in passion. It's kind of like when we're talking about Ryan Reynolds of Deadpool.
Loves
People
Deadpool.
always ask me about that. He is a massive Deadpool fan, and what better person to bring that to life on somewhere than
Someone's a
somebody
fan.
who's a true fan. And Troy was a fan of Uncharted from the get-go.
Yep.
Can you think of a line of dialogue that you recorded for a game that you were like, God, I wonder what situation the character's going to get into to get that line of dialogue? That's so bizarre.
What a great question.
That's a question at a bar, and you got to think about over some cocktails.
Yeah. So if you're
Cocktail.
later, cocktails, please, cocktail service. I don't know if this answers that question, but there's a lot of, especially in Uncharted 4, there were a lot of optional conversations that you could have that you could completely miss if you just decided to do a rabbit run of the game and not, when you're in Libertalia, little spoiler, if you're in Libertalia and you go up to the tavern and you either can or cannot explore, but if you go up to one of these chairs, you press triangle and Nate and Sam sit down and have a drink. And that's one of my favorite moments in the game. It's one of my favorite lines in the game. It's like,
God,
did you ever
I forgot
think?
about that.
Yeah, we sat and did it 5 different ways. And he said, would you?
I don't even remember what we talked about because it was completely ad-libbed. We must have completely ad-libbed those conversations.
Yeah, the one that we landed on, the one that ended up in the game was when it said, if you ever think about how differently your life would have been if you had been given different choices. And Sam says,
Oh,
no,
yeah, that's right.
I like the cards we've been dealt. I like this. I wouldn't change the fact that we were orphans, that we grew up, that I had to leave you, that you grew up, being raised by Sully. Yeah. It's just this really cool way to kind of summate the entire series and the entire relationship between these two people in a completely optional conversation. So I don't know if that really speaks to your question, but there's a lot of lines. Last of Us had a lot of those as well. Telltale is a great example of that too, because when you do have branching dialogue options, you're like, ooh, I really want to choose this one because I love that. There was one line that Reese had in Borderlands that was a complete, and this speaks to their process and how cool they are. I burped in the middle of a line, It was an early morning session, and I was like, here's what we got to do. Sorry, guys, that was breakfast. And I kept going, and they kept it, and they used it. And it's option A. You press X to get that line. And I wanted everyone to go, please get that one. Just hear it. So if you haven't played that part, go back. I think it's like in episode 3. It's one of my favorite lines that I've ever recorded because it has nothing to do with acting. It has everything to do with just someone going, that's funny. Keep it. What else?
Is there anything you can share about the Uncharted 4 story DLC?
No.
No.
I think they're going to announce it pretty soon, though. I don't know when. I don't know if it's going to be. There's always all these new announcements that pop up around Christmas time, with the award season, and you have GDC coming in March. So hopefully soon. I do know this, from what I understand, it's going to be the biggest DLC they've ever done. The Left Behind was huge. So they're really, all heads are down, focusing on getting that DLC out the door. So. Hopefully soon, fingers crossed.
I have no idea.
I don't know if I'm in it, I don't know if you're in it, I don't know what's going on.
Nothing.
They call us last. Hey?
If you could choose the narrative direction of it, what would you guys choose? What would you want to see?
Wow.
Dust off my holster.
Would you?
So I miss it.
Buddy.
No, I'd probably it'd just be phone calls, just sitting in this shack, looking at the water, waiting to die. You're like, oh wait, he's gonna shoot someone soon.
Oh, that's me. Jesus.
Look, here comes a boat, and the boat just goes by, and then nothing. And people, and then
Finger guns.
it's like 6 hours of that, and people go, I think it was brilliant, or it was incredibly lazy.
You just didn't get it. It was like a Lars Van Trier episode of DLC for Uncharted.
The great thing about Uncharted is it's a great question because it really, anything could happen in that world, and there's so many adventures that were he could have gone on. It's one of my gripes with some of the first movie scripts that I saw.
Yeah.
Where they were just going to try to recreate one of the games and done so well. They've taken those characters in that world, but made their own story. Do that. So I mean, the options are endless. I mean, that question I could go on forever.
I'll say this: I'm glad that we're not in charge of it because every idea that I come up with
Terrible.
is terrible. Like I'd be like, oh, it'd be so awesome. Spoiler again for them to go off on adventures with the Drake daughter. Oh no, because that's ruins how beautiful the ending was. It's like, well, that's a terrible idea. It's like, I want to see Sam escape from Pearl. Well, we already played that. So every idea that I come up with. So fortunately, there's better minds than ours that are in charge of that. So I do know that I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it a lot because I love it. Who else?
Has there been any parts where you ad-libbed?
Oh God, dude, talk to this guy. You kidding me?
I don't.
Kitty
I
got
can't
wet?
read.
Favorite ad-lib moments?
I can't read, so they basically just say, "This is what's happening. Go." I'm like, crap. Brilliant. No,
can't teach that. You can't.
Well, I've said this before. The only way to ad lib is if you have a good story, good structure. Ad libs are the branches of a tree, but if you don't have the trunk, you got nothing. I have been into sessions of other games where they say, "We know you're just so great at ad libbing, so just whatever you want to do." And I'm like, "But what? Context? Where are we? What are we doing?" No, just freewheel.
You want me to write for you? I got it. Okay.
But what? It's like, well, he likes guns. I mean, it's literally, so you have nothing. You have to have something. You have to have a structure. And good ad lib comes after you've done the stuff that's on the page. And Uncharted's always had good writing. We just, you do that. And then, he may have an idea, or he may say something. I'll say something that sparks him to do something, or any of the other actors. Probably one of the more famous ad lib longer moments was the end of Uncharted 2, when we had something written and it was good, and then I think it was Amy Hennig just said, "Emily, you and Nolan, we hand in hand, just walk over here. This is where the edge of the cliff is. Whatever you want." And we started walking, and she started that whole thing on a scale of 1 to 10. How scared were you? 4. It was nothing planned, and we did it once. and that's the end. That everything on that was just this one take, just Nolan and Emily talking, and that was pretty cool because people talk about that. I've seen it on YouTube, and it's just that cool moment. And I got to give her credit. She went on there. She's like, "I have your tears in a jar." It's like, what are you talking about? But it was so real because it was real, and that's good acting. So
One of my favorites from Uncharted 2 was, "It's a shame you have to sit on something so pretty." Just caught me up. I was like, ah.
that was not written. That was
completely ad-lib.
I
Sounded like it was.
I actually used that back in my single days. That was a pickup line. I just sit down. Damn, so that is so fine. It's a shame you have to sit on it. And she's like, "Oh, stop!" And if the girl went, piss off, and then I'm like, she wasn't worth it. But if she laughed. I'm like, she could be a good one. I think I used it on my wife. I should because it's fantastic, hon. Like art.
Have you ever received presents from fans?
Yesterday I got, because my birthday's Monday, so you can drop all your gifts off.
Yeah. You'll receive a line.
Yeah, I at some point I must have just said how it's nice to get Graham McTavish, who's Uncharted and other things, Hobbit,
Preacher.
sure, Outlander, whatever, Creed. We could go a while. He every time I see him, he's always has little bits of British chocolate. He's a Briton, but he's like, "Oh, British chocolate milk is much better." And I mentioned that somewhere in something, and somebody brought me British chocolate yesterday.
You have to be careful what you say you like. Travis Willingham one time, they're like, "What do you like to drink?" He was like, "Gentleman Jack." And so every convention he went to after that, people would come up like fifths of Jack, and they're like, "Drink it." In front of, no,
Now.
gee, like in all of it, no. So I'm very cautious to like say I'm definitely like, because of you, I'm a bourbon guy, but I've always been a Scotch guy. So people were like, "Boom!" I'm like, okay, hold on. I do have a liver that's still functioning right now, so let's take it easy. But yeah, you get it's
People
really cool.
must have gotten you scarves or hats.
People give me socks, which is really cool.
I want socks.
Yeah, socks are great.
Oh, did you hear that? Let's see what happens. You're all witnesses. I'll talk to you next year. I have more. I send
More
chocolates.
scarves than you know what to do. But no, so people are really kind. What I love is when people, this is not a ploy to have people do this, but it's really cool when people have taken the time to do fan art. And because I think there's this cool symbiosis of like, I was a part of making something that you consider art, and now you're an artist who's making art, and you're being considerate of me. That's this really cool way that we can be in partnership with this whole thing.
I have framed art from
Me
fans
too.
in my office.
Me too.
Yeah, there's some stuff that's amazing.
It's like-
I also like money, like cash. I collect like $50 and $100 pound notes. I just and I frame it.
We don't have $100 pound notes.
You're 50.
You should get.
So you might want to take a look at the ones that you have.
They could be worth a fortune for their counterfeit. They're in crayon.
So,
We've got the new plastic £5 notes now, so.
those are crazy. I found that when I was here, I was like,
I've actually always been fascinated. My brother used to collect coins, and just a little thing we did when we were little. And I just read in the paper the other day that someone here in England had a coin that he was letting his son play with, and his grandfather had given it to him because his grandfather collected coins. And he just one time said, I just should go see, at one of the events, what this is worth. Turns out it was minted from pirate gold. There were only 200 ever made, and it was worth about 300,000 pounds. And they said the guy went and
hit his child.
They said he said thank you, and he walked out, and they said he's in his car screaming, and the car's bouncing around. And then
kid
he
was
came
like,
back the next day. to make sure they weren't
No.
Came back the next day to make sure that they weren't pranking him, and it's actually true. So it's So coins, old coins. I also like those as
You should
gifts.
have told me that. A whole box full at home.
You should go through those.
I do collect them as well. It's just like, I could have given him one. Was like, if you told me like coins, I'd be
Don't
like,
ever give those things away.
That's the other thing. Is like sometimes you go to a convention somewhere and people give you stuff, and you feel obliged to take it, and now you're like, I can't fit this stuff.
Yes. Someone goes, I made this paper mache Trojan horse for you. That's amazing. I'm going to leave that at Heathrow Airport. Who else?
You talked before about getting to work on passion projects and things that you're sort of really passionate about. Are there any particular game franchises that you have a passion for that you've never had a chance to voice and you'd love to voice something in the future?
Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah.
Either 3, 4, whatever they want to do. I'm a big fan of Western films and things like that. I've always wanted to do a Western, like Westworld. If they're watching, I'm in. But I've always wanted. I like Westerns, and I'm not a big gamer, but I remember checking out Red Dead Redemption, and it just made me feel like I'm back watching the Clint Eastwood, Sergio Leone movies. And they did a really good job with it,
One of my favorite moments in games, period, like top 5, would be going from Texas to Mexico in Red Dead, and that Jose Gonzalez song that plays. I was just like blown away because you're on the stick. It's not a cinematic moment, and this song, not a piece of music, but a song plays, and it was such this great transition. And I knew then, I was like, this is a benchmark moment in games. You can't compare it to a film, you can't compare it to a game. It's something completely new. And Red Dead, there's 2 games that I would just spend time in the world if I didn't have anything else to do. I would just jump in there, and Red Dead was one of them. Shadow of Mordor was the other one, because it's just fun to just hop around that world, just kill orcs. But I would just jump on a horse and go check out a sunset. If you saw a mountain, I would go, like even Skyrim didn't have that much of a compulsion for me to do more than Red Dead. The teaser trailer was exactly that. It's just a teaser. I was like, the world looks gorgeous. I want to know more about the story. I want to know, are we looking at John's son? Are we looking at what's happening? Or is this a completely different story? So yeah, Red Dead is definitely one that I wanted to be a part of. GTA was, apparently people pointed out to me that there's a place called Trey Bakery or something in GTA, and I was like,
Really?
am I being super arrogant to think that has anything to do with me? Or but it's called Trey Bakery, and it's or is it Troy? I can't remember. People was like, "Hey, you're in GTA." I was like, "Son of a bitch!" But there's
Troy's Bakery.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We're seeing a lot of reboots, like the God of War reboot. We're seeing most recently we had like the Tomb Raider reboot. I'm really excited to see what happens with a lot of the new IPs that are coming out. I think that there's some new studios that are popping up that have been able to really create a niche for themselves by creating something completely new. Destiny, is something that's new. Titanfall, which just came out, is a new IP. I'm really excited to see what new kind of games come out and maybe be a part of those. So in some ways, I'm kind of happy for some of those legacy IPs to just put them on a shelf, and they were really, really good, and let's let them be that, but let's not rehash. Let's try to create something new. Yeah. What else, guys? We got a few more minutes.
About P&L. Obviously, with
Okay.
10 episodes left. Will Mr. Hastings be making an appearance? And what would you like to work on such a huge show?
Give me a second. It's terrible. RPG, get down. Sorry. It's like, yes, Mr. Hastings does make an appearance in the second half of the end. Up to his usual tricks. It was a lot of fun. It's tough. It was amazing to watch these 4 girls who were relatively unknown become so beloved and work so hard. And I've known them for so long and watched their success go. I remember the first time I saw them on, oh my God, she's on Cosmopolitan magazine. Next thing you know, they're everywhere, and they've become their own little entities. They're all really, really talented, and they're still good people, down-to-earth people, and because they were the ones who made that show go. Chad Lowe, who plays one of the other dads on that program, he used to say, this will never be, it never has been, and never will be Pretty Little Parents. It was fun to be, but I was just kind of the facilitator for their plot lines, and it was nice to be around that, to be part of something that's so created such a great fandom. But I think and it was really well done, and I had people, everybody just fell in love with that franchise, and it's a real testament to their character, their talent, and yeah, it's sad to see it go, but you know, it's kind of like Uncharted. They went out on top. They didn't kind of jump the shark, you know. And if you keep going, it's like, how long till you really know who A and then Uber A and all this other stuff is. Yeah, I'll miss the people who made it. They were really good people, but I'm actually really excited to see where they take their careers from here, and hopefully I'll jump on one of their other shows. Just ride their coattails.
Does anyone know where Jump the Shark came from, the etymology of that?
Happy Days.
Happy Days, yeah, well done. A lot of people are like, I just thought it's just a bad thing to do. It is a bad thing, especially if you were an 80s show about the show in the 50s and someone jumps a shark, literally. Good time for a couple more? Sure.
Do you ever play online, and you say you don't really play games, so it might not work for you, but do you ever play online and troll in character and then try and spook people playing online?
No.
Or in real life, but...
There was some fun stuff, like we would play Call of Duty or whatever, and I remember this, it's random, I don't know why people bring this up at all, it's like, you hear people do their death screams or whatever, and someone would just randomly go, that's easy. I'm like, no, it really is. It's like, yeah, man, anybody could do that. And it's like, well, give it a shot, man. And they're like, yeah, it's not so easy now, is it? But no, the thing that I love about playing online is the anonymity, because typically, let's say I'm playing like Call of Duty or I'm playing Titanfall or something, I'm gonna get owned real fast, real hard. So I don't want people knowing that it's me. I want people just going, that guy sucks. Almost gave my screen name just up. It also depends on what I'm playing at. There's one screen name that I have that I should not tell you because it's horrible. And I chose it one night when I was possibly a little too drunk, and it's now permanent. And somehow, I don't know how it passed like it was a Microsoft, it was an Xbox screen name. I don't know how it passed their thing, because normally they're like, no. And for some reason, it's so far to left field that people are like, I guess it's okay, and it's horrible. But I like the anonymity. I like being able to, typically if I'm online, I'm just like doing a private match with my mates, just the 4 or 5 of us, just getting online and playing. But it is always kind of fun to hear people talking about, whether it be online or in person or whatever, just kind of talking about their experience with the game and how much people really endear themselves to their characters. And I think that's one of the things that sets games apart from just a movie or even a show. Because we'll spend 4 or 5 seasons with a character, but we're still observing it. It's something completely different when you're actually that character and you feel like you have gone through all of these missions, but you've lived this life as this person. So that's the thing I like most about games.
Yeah, and for me, the closest I can come is when my son, especially, is playing Destiny. I'll just sit down on the couch next to him, and he's talking to his friends. I'm like, "You shouldn't go in there, Guardian. No, go down to the left." And he's like, and I hear his friends going, "Where's your ghost talking to you?" That's my dad. And like, your dad, and the other kids going, "Your dad's a ghost?" It's like, yeah, that's so cool. Like that. I like that. That's, hi, and what's your name?
I like the Bill.
And they're like, I'm Jerry. And he's like, Dad, can you just go? So that's the microphone he's covering.
But your dad is a ghost? Yeah, it's weird. Those questions.
Yeah, so
it's like we're getting
so I troll my own son in person. Your mother wants you for dinner. Could you press pause? That's what I did.
Unfortunately, it's end of round table.
All right, guys, thank you for spending time with us today. Appreciate it.
Yeah.